Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Salma out of Egypt. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. What do you think? I have a question on anger, and I'd like to know what we can do for anger, both when we get angry and when we feel generally angry and frustrated in life.
Okay.
That's all. Thank you.
You're most welcome. Thank you.
Ma salam.
Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Let's take Salma's question about anger because of its importance. Then I'll resume, inshallah, with the rest of the pending questions and emails. Anger management. Does Islam have anything to say about that? Of course. What is the opposite of anger? Tranquility and calmness, which is stemming from patience. The Prophet ﷺ spoke enough about the merits and the virtues of patience, to the extent that in one hadith he said that half of faith is patience. Half of Iman is patience. If one has patience and he is patient, then he has perfected 50% of his faith. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Quran repeatedly encouraged us to endure things patiently, whether the divine decree, whether the calamities, whether what hurts us. And he said, وَبَشِّرِ الصَّابِرِينَ, give glad tidings to the patient ones, and so on. I mean, this is something that we can discuss for an entire program, for a whole series, as-sabr or patience. And he said, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, in one hadith, وَالصَّبْرُ ضِيَاء. Sabr is light, but it is light with heat. وَالَّذِي جَعَلَ لَكُمُ الشَّمْسَ ضِيَاءً وَالْقَمَرَ نُورًا. Because the moon provides us with light, but without heat, while the sun provides us with light accompanied with heat. So a sabr is a source of light. It provides us with light. It sheds life in our lives, but it requires strength. And that's why it is accompanied with heat in it. A man once came to the Prophet ﷺ and said, Ya Rasulullah, awsini, advise me. He said, La taghdab, do not get angry. He said, what else? He said, La taghdab. He repeated the same advice. And the third time he said the same thing. That was all the answer of the Prophet ﷺ to this very important question. He could tell the nature of the questioner and what he needed most, or also the circumstances and what the ummah needs at the time most. So he advised him not to get angry. It's very simple to tell somebody who is angry, hey, calm down, don't get angry. But it does not literally mean that. Rather, it means the anger management, which is explained over a series of ahadith and prophetic advices. Number one, the Prophet ﷺ advised one who is angry to do the following. He said, إني لأعلم كلمة لو قالها ليجد عنه لذهب عنه ما يجد. I know about a word. If this man who is very infuriated and angry, if he have said that word, it would have relieved him from his anger, or relieved his anger. The word is, I seek refuge with Allah against the outcast Satan. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. The Quran supported that. وَإِمَّا يَنزَغَنَّكَ مِنَ الشَّيْطَانِ نَزْغٌ فَاسْتَعِذْ بِاللَّهِ. Seek refuge with Allah against الشيطان, of course. When the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, don't you see the redness on his face? It is due to the fact that this anger is from fire. Anger is from Satan, and Satan is created from fire. And he said nothing can extinguish fire better than water. So if any of you got angry, let him perform wudu. And these advices have been practiced, and we experimented that, and it does work 100%. And you try it yourself. When you get angry, rush to make wudu. Keep quiet. Keep quiet. This is a very important advice with regards to anger management. Do not say anything. Zip off your mouth. The Prophet ﷺ said, change your position. Do not say a word. If you're sitting down, stand up. If you're standing, sit down. Or depart the place which infuriated you or angered you. Do not have confrontation with the person who made you angry, lest it might deteriorate. It might get you sucked into something worse than just talking, into actions. And many people, most of divorce cases, the person says, I was angry. And if you examine all the homicide and the murder cases, the person will say that he made me angry. I was angry at him. So if the person avoids falling into the state of anger, most of the crises and the crimes will be eliminated. And if the person happens to be angry because anyway we have to get angry, the Prophet ﷺ would never get angry unless if any of the hudud of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have been violated. If any of the prohibitions of Allah have been broken or violated, at that the Prophet ﷺ would get angry. But even when people insulted him personally and assaulted him and cursed him, and Nabi ﷺ was always calm. When the person examines the cases and experiences of others, like somebody who got angry and he shot somebody dead. So he says, you know what, I would rather not carry a pistol or a concealed handgun. Why? Because I know myself, if I get angry I may grab the gun and pull the trigger. So he decided not to carry a gun in order not to get involved into a murder, because he gets angry. He knows that he gets angry. Today I have a conversation with a couple or with a person who got divorced. Why? Because they both were very angry. Afterward, after a chaos and a collapse, they realized that they were both angry and so on. So we have seen many cases like that. If one of them is wiser than the other a little bit and realizes that if we are both angry and insisting on demolishing our lives and no one is wise, what will happen is we will be another case that the shaitan succeeded in achieving this demolition. But when we hear about other cases and realize that it's all from a shaitan, the Prophet ﷺ said, إِنَّ الشَّيْطَانَ يَجْرِي مِنَ ابْنِ آدَمَ مَجْرَى الدَّمِ مِنَ الْعُرُوقِ. I know of a person, I went once and I asked about the banker who normally assists me, and they said that he's in jail. Why? He killed his son. May Allah protect all of us. Because he was angry and he kept beating his son to death. In America, people kill simply if somebody offended him or cut him short or caused them. He can just, if he's living in the south, he can pull his shotgun and he can shoot somebody. Why? They called hot-blooded. They get angry. When you keep in mind and you just foresee the consequences of the anger, you can kill, you can divorce your wife, you can hurt yourself, you can hurt your family members. And afterward, regret will not help. It will not bring the dead back to life. It will not reconcile between you and your wife because you divorced her so many times. I have one lady who came to me and said, Sheikh, my husband divorced me several times, and same excuse that he was angry and so on. So before anything, I needed to ask how many times. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, الطلاق مرتان. If it is the first and the second, there is a resolution. But if it is the third, I have nothing to do with it. She said 30 times. 30. Somebody got angry 30 times. 30 times he divorced his wife while he's angry. It doesn't make sense. So one has to recognize that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala rewards a great deal for patience, and He hates anger. And the person who is angry and lets the shaitan control him, he loses. He definitely loses. So get up, perform wudu. It will be best if you can pray 2 rak'ah. And try this once. You will never stop this practice. Every time you get angry, wallahi, by making wudu and by praying 2 rak'ahs, a great deal of tranquility would descend upon you, and you realize, you know what, actually I was wrong. It happened with me many times, and I did not find a problem to tell the other party whom I was very angry at, to call him up and say, you know what, I'm sorry, it was my mistake. And the other party said, no, it was my mistake, and so on. Why? Because we diffuse the problem. We remove the shaitan and we set him away. If this is the case, and everybody knows how to resolve this problem and avoid anger in the first place and manage it in case that we fall into the condition of anger, then inshallah Azza Jal will avoid its consequences. May Allah guide us to its best.